Well, I actually like the way John dresses, to be honest. I don't agree with them when they say that I'm the one that dresses the worst. 90% of them, I don't like the way they dress as well.
I agree.
Love that.
I agree.
And I think John is lying to you when he says that he doesn't like the way I dress, because sometimes he tells me, you're looking nice, Bernardo. So I think John dresses well.
The official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.
I often worry with the intros to this podcast, Paul, that it feels like I'm overhyping things, but it's because we've got so many great players here. I am justified today, aren't I, in saying we're being joined by one of the best players on planet Earth in Bernardo Silva.
Absolute superstar. I love everything about him. As a person, first and foremost, but then as a player, he's got everything. He's work rate, technique, goals, enthusiasm's infectious, and I can't wait for this one.
We got a glimpse of him when we played Monaco the year before he actually joined City. He was superb in both games, particularly here at the Etihad. I remember we knew we were getting a good player, but I'm not sure I realised quite how good. And you look at his record: 5 Premier Leagues, 1 Champions League, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, a Club World Cup and a Super Cup. It's not bad, is it?
It's alright, isn't it? And I remember that game myself. I remember saying to my boys who were at the game with me, that as we were going home after the game, saying, we'll love to see that Bernardo Silva at us next season. And look, we've been so blessed with some wonderful signings that we've had over the years, but he's probably the one I was most excited about when we signed him after the 2 performances against us.
Well, I am very much looking forward to this one, so let's get on with it. Here we are, the official Manchester City podcast, and today we are joined by Bernardo Silva.
Walker now, onto De Bruyne on the edge of the area, into the gap for Bernardo Silva, 1-0, Manchester City lead Real Madrid. To say that was coming is one of the greatest understatements of all time. It's been a battery, and City lead at last. Grealish into the gap, real chance for Gundogan, and it might break for Bernardo Silva! City 2, Real Madrid 0. Bernardo Silva is worth his weight in gold.
Bernardo Silva, thank you very much for joining us on the official Manchester City podcast. We always like to start with our guests going right back to the beginning. So for you, how did your interest in football begin?
Well, I think my interest in football came from my family and friends, but especially from my mum and dad. My mum, she would always go to the stadiums with my grandfather. My father, he loved playing football. He loved playing football with me, and yeah. So from my mum and dad, from my grandfather, and then at school with my friends in Portugal, it's very cultural to all the kids. They play football in the playgrounds, in the street. So it was easy to be interested in the game because everyone loves the game in my country.
Presumably you had to study really hard in the day because you know your mum and dad wanted you to have a good education behind you. So was it a case of you working really hard on the academic side during the day and then playing football in the evening?
Well, yeah, I studied hard. I wouldn't say that hard, to be honest. But yeah, my mum and dad, they always supported me in playing football and in doing whatever I wanted to do, but also in having to study and to do things right. Because my dream was always to be a football player, but that was plan A. If things didn't go right, I needed a plan B, and the school was obviously that plan. And they wanted me to be focused on that as well. And I wouldn't say study very, very hard, because also I didn't have time to do that with football, because my routines were waking up at 7, going to school starting at 8:30, leaving school at around 4:30, going to football, and getting home like at 9, eating something and go back to sleep. So I didn't have that much time. But yeah, everything put together, it was a very good childhood.
When did you first realise that you or your parents that you had a chance to become a footballer?
Well, you never know until you really get to that level if you're gonna reach what you want. But I had my doubts because first I started when I was 7 years old. and I would always play in the Benfica academy. Then between 13 and 18, I wouldn't play, I wouldn't be selected, I wouldn't even be on the bench. And Benfica wanted to loan me to a smaller club in Lisbon. So there were some doubts in that moment, obviously, because I was much smaller and thinner than the other players and slower. A lot of people didn't believe in me in the club. And then I fought, and I tried my best to keep going. And then from the moment that I signed my first professional contract when I was 18, that's when I was 17, 18, that's when I started playing again. And when I moved to Monaco, I thought, yeah, I'm in a very good level now, and I started believing again that I could reach a very good level in football when I was 17, even though I never gave up, obviously, because it was my dream, because I believed in my talent. But when people start doubting you and you're 14, 15, 16, you start having normal doubts in your head, thinking, am I going to be able to do it or not? But yeah, I couldn't expect reaching and achieving what I did until now, and I'm very happy with my career so far.
Yeah, I bet you are. See, I love that, because when I was growing up, the one thing that was always put at me was, he's too small. Mm-hmm. He's too small, he's not strong enough. But I would like to know you, but what that did, that gave me an even bigger desire to then prove people wrong, that my size wasn't anything to do with it. I didn't have the technical ability you had, but the one thing I did have was a determination to make it, but more I wanted to prove people wrong, that size wasn't going to be an issue. Did you ever feel that?
Definitely. Motivation to prove that people are wrong, and that the game can be played in many different ways. And I had inspiration in, because when I was about 15, for example, at Barcelona, there was that team with Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Pedro, and all the small guys together. So I thought, if they do it, I can also do it. So you get, and even with David Silva at Man City, these kind of players, when you're younger, you try to grab these little hopes and to motivate yourself, and then obviously prove people wrong, because you believe in yourself, and that's what I did as well. Yeah,
amazing.
You still hear people saying it today, though, don't you? That the game is getting bigger. You need to be big. You need to be strong. But I was saying to Paul before, the greatest footballer who's ever played the game, Lionel Messi, is small. So you're talking there about different ways of playing the game. That's important, isn't it, to have variety in football?
Well, I think it also depends on the position and the way your team plays. So, if you're a fullback, it's not easy to deal with wingers if you don't have a bit of pace. Yes. So, me playing as a fullback, it wouldn't work. Me playing eventually as a striker, it wouldn't work, because you need your first meters to be good, to gain that advantage to the center backs. Even if you're a centre back, you need to be a bit tall or strong or quick to deal and to mark properly the strikers. So depending on the position and on the way your team plays, if your team, for example, if I played in a counter-attack team, I could never play as a winger like I play at Man City, because I'm not going to run 60-70 meters from my box to the other box. It's impossible for me. But the way we play, I can play as a winger. So it depends on a lot of things, and I think if you're open-minded and if you think that the game can be played different ways, of course your physical condition is important, and all the players should work on that. But if you have some limitations, and me, I had those limitations, and I still have, in terms of pace, in terms of how strong I am, then you start developing other things to compensate and to try and be better than others at the other stuff and things that you control, and that's what I try to do.
So what advice would you give to a young footballer, 15, 16, who they're being doubted, like in the same way that you were? What's your one piece of advice to somebody in that position?
First have fun, enjoy, because when you enjoy playing football, you do it much better than when you don't enjoy it, obviously. And then it's what I said, it's develop the other stuff. Yeah. So if you're slower, and if you're weaker than the others, try to think faster, try to be more focused than the others, more determined than the others. So that extra bit, you need to make it, because if I don't do it in a football game, I have no chance, because the others, they're quicker, they're stronger, they have that extra physical part that I don't have. So all the other departments in the game, I try to be a bit ahead of them to compensate and to be better than that.
See, I think that's amazing, because too many people in football in general, when I was playing and coaching, and even now, they concentrate on what players aren't good at, rather than concentrating and improving what they are good at. And I've always said that. I said, if you can improve what you're good at and get a little bit better,
that's a better way of doing it.
Yeah, and there's no negative energy going around then.
What about your move? You moved to Monaco. That was a big moment in your career, wasn't it? It was a really good team that was assembled there. We got the privilege of seeing that team play at the Etihad, with Mbappe and Fabinho and Falcao, etc. That must have been a great time to be involved in that.
It was, definitely, because it was a group of mostly young kids that were enjoying a lot playing the game, having a lot of fun, and the chemistry was great, because getting together, obviously all the team, but I'm just going to say a few of the young guys that achieved a very good level, like Bakayoko, Fabinho, then me, Lemar, Mbappe.
Wasn't a bad team, was it?
It was the way we played. It was really enjoyable, and we were just like kids in the park in a way. A bit irresponsible in some moments because we conceded a lot of goals.
Yeah,
but it was a bit like, okay, you're gonna score 3 goals, no problem, because we're gonna score 5 and we're gonna beat you. In a way, it's a bit irresponsible, but it worked that season, and we won the league in France, which is not easy against PSG. We reached the semi-finals of the Champions League, so it was definitely one of the best years of my career in terms of fun, and even in terms of results, because winning the French league, as I said, against PSG is never easy.
And when you came to the Etihad, I mean, we won that game 5-3. I still don't know how, because Monaco, well, I felt were better team on the night. Did you feel like you were in the shop window in a way that night, that if you had a good performance, it might put you in the limelight and maybe alert Pep and City to your talent and ability?
I remember very well that game. As I said, our team in moments, we were a bit irresponsible in terms of we didn't control the games very well, because we always wanted to attack very quick, because also of the quality of the players that we had. And that's why we lost that game, because we were winning the game, I think, 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
And out of nothing, City scored 4 goals. But I remember playing the way that we did. We felt after the game so disappointed in terms two goal difference. And in the first 10 minutes, you always think, it's over. But then on your way to the airport, you think, no, it's not over. And the next day, you start believing that it's possible again, because you watch the game again and you think we can make it. And at home, with the team that we have, if we put some pressure on them, it's never easy, because the Champions League is the Champions League. It's a special competition. It's one game. And yeah, we did it at the end. We were a bit lucky in the second half. I think the first half against Man City, it was a very, very good game from us. We didn't let them breathe. And then the second half, they put us a lot under pressure, and I think we were quite lucky to then score the third goal after we conceded the 2-1. But yeah, good memories in the Champions League for all of us as young kids to play at that level. We were not used to it. And that experience I will never forget.
So that tie finished 6-6 aggregate, but Monaco won on away goals,
the away goals
which has now been scrapped, of course. Do you think that's the right thing to do, scrapping the away goals rule?
I don't have an answer for that.
No.
I don't know. For example, this season, if the away goals counted, we would have gone through against Madrid, for example. But we lost to Tottenham a few years ago on away goals. I don't know. It's just...
I think it's one of them. If it's your team that wins in away goals, it's great. If you lose in away goals, you think it's rubbish.
I understand why they scrapped it. I don't think. I think now teams play more open because before teams at home they played a bit more. Let's not concede because
away goals weighted more.
Because if we score more goals away, it's more important than scoring at home.
Yeah.
Let's do a 0-0 at home and then try to score some goals away. And I also don't think that's good for the game. So in a way, I understand why they scrapped it, because now the teams they go more at each other. So in a way, yeah, I understand it.
So when you came to City, we were talking before how excited we were having seen you play at the Etihad. Since then, 5 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, a Club World Cup and a Super Cup. It's been a genuinely amazing time for you and, well, for the football club generally, but for you personally as well, hasn't it?
Well, honestly, a dream come true. I wouldn't expect, not even close, after 7 years. Well, 6, because this season hasn't ended yet, to have won so many titles. 6 years, 5 Premier Leagues. That's the most difficult, because to win 5 in 6 in this country is so tough. And yeah, I couldn't have asked for more in terms of the club, the staff, my teammates, the fans. Football-wise, it's been an unbelievable experience for me, and I couldn't have asked for more.
Mentioned the fans there. We were talking before. There is a special connection between you and the fans, there's no doubt about it. My theory is that you do kind of both sides of the game. You're an amazing technician, you can dribble and you've got all the skills, but you also work really hard, and Paul knows that the City fans love people who work hard. Have you felt that connection? We spoke to John Stones about this because he has a similar relationship with the City fans. Have you felt that connection during your time at City between you and the guys in the
definitely from our first season. Well, my first 6 months I didn't play that much, my adaptation and everything, but then from the second season the connection started becoming very, very strong, and yeah, the fans everywhere, what they want, apart from the team winning or losing, because all teams can win and lose, and we had our disappointments and our frustrations, especially in the Champions League. They want the team and the players to show passion and to fight for your club. So that's what we try to do. That's the most important thing, is to give 100% every game to represent them well, because football without the fans is nothing. And that's why this connection, not just with me but with the team, exists, because they understand that even when we lose, we give our all, and we go for everything with passion, with everything we have. And we saw again after Madrid, we got knocked out in the Champions League, and they were clapping us after the game, because they understood that we did everything that we had in our bodies, in our spirit, to try and go through. We didn't, but that's football. But this connection is very important to get to achieve titles. This support that we get from the fans is unbelievable, and that helped us massively in these 6-7 seasons to win this many titles.
You just said at the start there, then, and answering that question about the first 6 months season, you found it hard to adapt. How did you adapt to it? What was your thought process?
Well, it was not easy, because, for example, if I played as a winger, I had Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling that at the time were
flying
and playing really, really well. In the middle, I had Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva, and still Gundogan on the bench at that time, because he didn't play that much, Gundogan. So the squad was unbelievable. So it wasn't easy to get into that squad. And I remember I started playing a bit more when Leroy got injured, and Sterling went to play on the left and me on the right. Then Sterling got injured and Leroy came back, and Leroy played on the left and me on the back. But I wasn't on the starting 11 on my first season. On that the strongest starting 11 from Man City. I wasn't a part of it in my first season. But it was a very good season for us, because we got the 100 points. We got back a Premier League title for the club For almost all of us, it was the first one because a lot of new players. For the manager, the first one, and it was a very special season for me as well, because the Premier League is a dream for everyone. Because when you're a kid, you want to win the Champions League and the Premier League. They're the biggest trophies in the world in terms of club football. So it was a memory that I will never forget as well.
Do you think it's even harder for new players coming to City now because we've built this culture of success, and you look around here today, if you're coming into this and you're not used to it must be really tough. I'm thinking somebody like Nunes, who's arrived this year, clearly hugely talented footballer, no holes in his game technically, but maybe has struggled to impose himself because of what we've created here. Do you think it must be tough for players coming in?
It's very tough. I think it's very tough. Of course, some players adapt quicker than others, but we've had a lot of examples in this club. I remember Mahrez, for example. His first season, he was devastated because he didn't play, and from the second season, he was phenomenal for us. Jack, his first season, and then from his second season, we had a lot of examples.
Rodri was the same.
Even me, my first season, from my first season to my second season, the difference was massive.
Is that because of the demands that Pep
I think
puts on
Pep
you guys?
plays in a very specific way. The team plays in a very specific way, and he demands a lot. And it also takes time to get your place in the team. When you get to a team with the quality of our team, it's not easy for a new player to come and to start playing, because if you're a defender, you have Ruben, Ake, Akanji, Guardiola. So if you're a midfielder, when I arrived, I had Fernandinho, Yaya Touré, Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, and Gundogan.
It's not bad, is it?
So if you want to fit, there's only 3 places to play in the midfield. If you want to fit in this, if you want to take any of these 5 out of the team,
you got to be good.
You need to be very, very good and work very hard. So it's not easy. And nowadays it's even more difficult, as you said, because the standards that we created in this club in the last 6-7 years, now people expect us to win every season. If you look at the way our opponents speak about us, and even all the fans around the world, they always say, Man City, they're going to win, it's so easy. It's not easy to win the Premier League. It's so tough. People underestimate what we did. I think some people underestimate what we did and think that it's easy because we won 5 in 6, but to win 1 Premier League title
so difficult.
Is so tough. And so to maintain this level is not going to be easy in the next years for the new players that arrive, because the expectations are high, but it's good. It's good to be here, and it's good that this club created this expectation from the players.
Do you think Manchester City gets the credit we deserve?
Oh, I think a lot more now than in the beginning. I think probably in the first years we didn't, but now yes. And I think the more we go on, and eventually the teams, not no team, but with time, people will see that winning 5 in 6, and if we win this season 6 in 7, it's something that was never done before. So people with time, I think they will give more credit to this team.
You had an interesting few days recently with the missed penalty against Real Madrid, and then 3 days later scoring the winning goal in an FA Cup semi-final so that we progressed to our FA Cup final for the second successive year. That's the beauty of football sometimes, isn't it? That within a few days, if you're at a top club, you get the opportunity to do something amazing after a difficult moment. How was that 3 days for you?
Well, you never, even if you score the winner against, for example, for me, even if I score the winner against Chelsea, I never forget the game against Madrid, because it was such a big frustration in terms of 120 minutes plus penalties, and the way we played that game, I think we put Madrid under a lot of pressure. And it was they felt. I think they felt in that moment the only way they could beat us was on penalties, and it's part of the game. But it was very frustrating to lose that way. And then after 3 days, you have your chance for redemption, even though even though you will never forget what happened 3 days ago, because the Champions League is one of the biggest trophy, if not the biggest trophy of the season. We felt, in a moment of the season, we felt that we could go for the Champions League again.
Yeah.
So, and I think I'm going to finish my 7th season at Man City. And if I think about, of course, this is not just one Champions League, because one Champions League is already good. But in 7 years, the way we played in the competition to win only once, I think this team deserved a bit more in this competition in the last years. The way we got knocked out in some of the games where we lacked a bit of luck in this competition. The luck that we had in the Premier League, because we also had a lot of luck.
For example, you need luck, don't you?
You need luck, and we had a lot of luck in the Premier League and lack of luck in the Champions League. If you look at the way we won the Premier League, when we were losing 2-0 against Villa at home, and we scored 3 goals in 10 minutes, you need luck to turn around that game. You need luck for John Stones to clear that ball on the line for this, and to Vincent Kompany to score that worldie against Leicester. You need luck for those things to happen, right?
Yeah.
And in the Champions League, I remember, for example, the Tottenham year when we lost.
Horrible.
That was such a horrible night, wasn't it?
Llorente scored the corner, a horrible goal, and then Sterling scores and he's offside by this. The first game or the first season that they introduced VAR is offside by this. So you need these details in football. And in the Champions League, we lacked a bit of luck in these moments. In the Premier League, we had our moments of luck as well, and it's part of the game.
One final one. We had John Stones on the podcast and we were talking about the way footballers dress, and I said that Bernardo Silva was one of the few players I actually look at and think he dresses okay, and John Stones really disagreed. So we need you to reply. What do you think of the way John Stones dresses?
John dresses, to be honest. I'm going to be honest. I like the way he dresses. I don't agree with them when they say that I'm the one that dresses the worst or one of the worst. I don't like 90% of them. I don't like the way they dress as well.
I agree.
Love that.
I agree.
I like to keep it a bit more simple than them. But yeah, I think every guy has his style. And I think John is lying to you when he says that he doesn't like the way I dress, because sometimes he tells me you're looking nice, Bernardo. So I think John dresses well, to be honest.
Bernardo Silva, thank you so much for giving us your time.
That was amazing.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
The unbeatable official Manchester City podcast. Watch the full video version of this show via City Plus now.